Hello and welcome to a very brief introduction to the fascinating world of Pixie Powders. I've got so many bits I'm going to try and cram into the next few minutes to show you just how incredibly impressive these products are. The first thing I'm going to do is show you the first initial use for them. The bit that when I was watching videos on them was how they tried to convince me I couldn't live without them. And you know what? They was right. So what I'm going to do first of all is take some water. I've just got an ordinary piece of thick 300 GSM card here and I'm just spritzing over the top of it to try and get it quite wet. You will notice that the card may start to dome. This isn't a problem and can actually help with some of the effects we're going to create today. I'm now going to take one of my Pixie Powders. I'm starting here with Peacock Green. Now if you haven't seen these before, these are basically little jars or little bottles filled full of Pixie Powder. And they really are filled. Considering the price of them, you're getting an awful lot in here for your money. Now as you may have already seen, I've started to get some powder come out of my bottle as I've been showing it to you. And it's starting to react. What I'm now going to do is just take the bottle and tap it from the top to get a little bit of powder out at a time. I found this is the best way for me to have control over the amount of powder I'm having come out of it. You can also squidge the bottle, in which you'll see a lot comes out of it. And you can, of course, just sort of vigorously shake the bottle. Both will give you varying amounts of it. As you can see, you'll end up with a much heavier effect when we just tap it. I'm then going to take another colour. This is Candy Pink. And I'm again just going to just drop a few bits of that over the top. And then we're going to go back in with some gold this time. And we're just going to pad over the top of that one. And it will show you different hints of colour as it comes out. If you find that your water has started to dry up or absorb into your card, or you've got too many clumps of powder, don't fear, just give them another spritz and you'll start to see them colours really react with each other once again and sort of go off like fireworks. If you wish to spray in more, you can, it's not a problem. And you'll notice that if your card has started to bow, you're going to get this really nice sort of fireworking out effect from it. If you don't wish for that, you can of course weight your paper down and then that way your paper will stay flat. That's our first effect with these. I'm going to pop that to one side and I'm going to show you something else you can do with them. Although I like that, I do quite like these as well if you do a little bit of difference first of all. Now what I'd like to do is show you how you can use these as a paint. So this time I'm going to take the Peacock Green again, I'm going to squidge out a little bit of that onto the side and I'm going to take some water and add it to it. From there I can now paint with this just as a background, just to give a more of a colouring underneath what we're going to do next. And you can make this of course as intense or as light as you wish to by the amount of water you add to it. So I don't want it too big an area because I just want to show you a little sample of this one working. Hopefully with this peacock you can see in here there's some little hints of blues and greens. They really have named this one correctly. It's got some lovely shades going on with this. And as it dries you get a more intense version of them as well. I'm now going to take Aqua Lagoon and I'm going to go back to just tapping my bottle over the top. Now where I've painted my card I already have a bit of water left or a little bit of wetness, so you may start to see this react. Don't worry too much because we will be adding more water to it in just a moment. I'm now going back over the top of it with the gold and then I'll leave it at that for this one just so you can see a couple of colours with a base coat underneath it. And then when you spritz that you can see them colours again react and give you a different effect. I quite like this when it has a colour underneath it because it sort of pulls it together more. When you're using some of the purples and pinks and bits like that, they give you really nice backgrounds to go behind fairies and a little bit of a NASA sort of space age feel to them as well. There really is a lot you could do with these as backgrounds. Of course, if you wanted to now, once it's dry, you could die cut flowers out of it, or like me, I actually prefer if you take a flower that's already die cut and then actually attack it with your powders. So again we're going to do a base coat over the top of this one, just because as I say I do like them to have a base coat underneath them already. And you'll notice I'm not working on any paper this time, I'm just working on my messy mat because I want to show you another use for the powders we're left with. I'm again going to go over the top of this with the gold and then we're going to pick up the Candy Pink this time and go over the top of that. And then I haven't shown you the purple one yet and that's one of my favourites. So let's dig out the purple violet. There's lots of colours in the selections to these, so if you're not too keen on the colours I'm showing you, do have a look in store or online because we have got quite a few other options as well. I'm then going to spritz this again and you will see that they all start to react again giving you a very different effect. Now, of course, every time you do this, you're going to get a different result, depending on the amount of colour you've put on top of it. So I'm going to pop that one to one side just for a moment, and I'm going to show you one that I've already had done earlier that's dried. Very Blue Peter, I know, but it shows you a different effect. And this one's actually dried and ready to use. So here you can see the purples, the emerald green, and the gold on that one to give you that really nice effect. Of course, at this point, you can now round these and layer them to make some beautiful flowers, to which I'll be showing you on one of the cards I've already created in just a moment. Now, I spoke about the fact we've got our ink on our mat, and I don't want to waste anything, so I'm going to get very messy here, and of course you could apply gloves if you're worried about your fingers. But I'm going to take a piece of ribbon, and I'm going to clean my mat with my ribbon. And this is a really good way to show you that absolutely nothing is wasted, and if you have just made flowers out of these colours, or you've made background papers with these colours, why not do a bow or a ribbon piece that matches too? So I've just picked up lots of my ink. Of course this isn't waterproof because of the ink reacts, or the powder reacts to water, so it's not going to be waterproof, so you can't wash it, but you can of course make matching bows. Now if you think it's a little bit too plain, I found the best way to do this is to make my bow as I want it to be, and then I've shaped it to where I want to keep it, and then you can just take a few more powders and go in over the top of it. And again, I'm just going to be quite OTT with my powder usage here. I'm not trying to be too neat or polite with this. I'm just going to make a bit of a mess with them. And then of course you could use a piece of card to pick up the mess from this colour set, and then you've got another piece to use with it as well. So we're just going to go over the top of them, and then again you can just spritz this with water and let them colours react. And although you may be wondering, oh my god, he's lost the plot, I promise you when I show you some of the cards I've made, you're going to see these bows look really lovely when they've actually dried and set. And we'll just pop that to one side while I show you another technique. If you haven't got a die cut machine, or you haven't already got some pre-cut flowers, you can of course do this with our ready-made flowers. You get a pack of 8 of these for only £1.49. And again, all I'm going to do is pop it in the middle of my mat. I'm going to spritz it with some water, and again I'm going to go in with some of the colours, and you will just see this colours these flowers in a really nice way. So that was candy pink. We're now going in with some purple violet. I like that, it's such a dark colour, it really makes all of the metallic ones show up as well. So again, we're going over that one with Aqua Lagoon, and then we'll do a little bit of gold over the top of that because I really do like the gold on these. And then we're going to spritz that too. And that will show you a really nice flower with multi-tones. If you do feel again that there's too many clumps and you haven't got enough of it seeped in, spritz it again, add more ink on if you want, or more powder on if you want to. But here's a couple I've done earlier and let dry, and you can see you get all them really nice metallic tones, go all the way through all of the petals and colour them because they're paper flowers to give you a really different effect with these. We're going to pop that one out of the way, and I'm going to move on and show you a different technique. Now this one is a really different one. I'm going to take a sheet of acetate for this, and I've got a piece of or a bottle of PVA glue. I'm just going to take the glue and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit into the middle of my acetate. Not too much, but just a little bit. And now I'm going to use another paintbrush, just a dry paintbrush this time, and I'm going to eke that out over the top of the acetate. By doing this, what we're doing is we're making it that the acetate will hold the pixie powders in place. And then we've got a lot of different techniques we can do with the actual sheet of acetate once done. So just spread this out, be as liberal as you want it to be. Obviously the thicker you apply the glue, the longer it's going to take to dry. And you do want to use a PVA that dries clear. Some of them will dry white and you won't get as good a result with this. But if we use one of these that dries clear, you're going to get a really nice effect. So we'll just put our lid back on over there, and now we're going to take our pixie powders again, and we're going to be a little bit more liberal with this one again. We'll work in this area because we don't need to do too much to get you an idea of this. So this one's purple violet. We haven't used the silver dream yet, so let's stick on a little bit of the silver dream. The metallics are really nice as well. If you're going to use these products as paints, they're really good for that, because if you mix in the silver or the gold, it will just give the colour you're working with that colour as a bit of a hue. So it's a really nice way to add into different colours. That one, by the way, is emerald green, And then we've got a bit of Scarlet Mist, so we're going to bring that one in as well. Stick that one over the top of this as well. Now don't forget, I'm only trying to colour that area, and we're just going to spritz it now again with water, and you will see that react again. Now, as I say, these go off like fireworks every time. You get a different colour set each time. Even if you stick to the same colours, you'll still get different effects. If you feel you want to fill in more of the void, pick it up and let the water work over the top of the acetate, filling in all the glued areas. And then just pop this to one side, and when it dries, you will end up with the nicest stained glass looking effect you've ever seen. It will come through on the underneath as the side you want to use. On the top, it will be quite pearlescent. But on the back side of it, because you've got the glossy sheen of the acetate, it really looks like a nice stained glass effect. And then from there, there's so much we can do with it. I'm going to show you one of my cards I've done like that, just so I can show you these butterflies already. Because the butterflies have had that effect done to them on acetate, then I've taken a peel-off butterfly, stuck it over the top of it, and cut them out to give me this glassy style butterfly effect. On this card, we've also got the flowers I was just showing you ready made, so they've been completed in the same way. And then I want to talk to you about this effect going on in the background as well. Now, this is another one I've done on acetate, but you can do it on card just as well, so I'm going to show you that. So what we've got now is just an ordinary mask. This is another one of the designs that you can purchase in store or online. I'm going to take a piece of card again. Now again, if you are doing this at home, it would be best if you was to tape your mask in place. But I'm not going to worry about that too much just now. I'm now taking a texture paste, and I've gone for this really nice shade of blue. I'm picking it up on just an ordinary plastic card. If you've got a palette knife, that would be perfect. And I'm just going to squidge it through my stencil. Now again, this is one of them techniques that depending on the colour texture paste you use, you're going to get very different effects. I've done this personally with silver, gold and blue texture paste, and each time I've got really nice results. But it's just a really fun technique to do with your Pixie Powders. So we're just going to carry on colouring over the top of this. I'm not going to worry about doing all of it, but we're just going to clear up our messy bit here and get rid of that. And we'll scrape off any excess because we don't want to waste anything, do we? So as you can see, I've done about 3/4 of my stencil, but that'll be enough to show you the effect we're heading for. Now again, we take our Pixie Powders, we leave our stencil in place, we take our Pixie Powders and we're going to shake these out over the top of these again. Now it's a good idea to try and get your texture paste as flat as you can. I can see I've left a couple of ridges in mine. It's not a problem because it will just give you more texture to it, but it's quite nice if you do get them quite flat. That was the Purple Violet. We're now going to go on with the Aqua Lagoon. Now even though we've used a blue or an aqua shade of texture paste, it doesn't hurt to go on with the same colour of Pixie Powders because I promise you, you'll still see different tones. I'm now going to sprinkle over some of the Candy Pink just to give you a different idea, and I'm going to go on lastly with Emerald Green. Now as you can see, I've gone a little bit wild with my colour choices this time, and of course it's down to what you want to do with your background. If you're thinking Christmas cards, then obviously the Emerald Green and the Scarlet Mist and the Gold would be lovely. If you're thinking birthday cards, it's going to be more to the theme you're going to add things onto it with, isn't it really? And now I'm just spritzing over the top again with my water. You'll see it's gone for a very filled in effect. Don't panic. Don't forget you've got that mask in there at the moment. And now all we're going to do is normally, by the way, I would let this dry a minute or two, just so some of the surface water isn't quite so runny. But I don't want you to have to wait for me to do that. So I'm just going to pull this off over the top and leave that to one side. And now you can see all of these Pixie Powder pieces have sat on top of where our texture paste is. Now if you leave this for a good couple of hours, they will actually dry and you will end up with the effect I showed you a moment ago on the acetate card. This is another one I've done with one of our blues, a different blue in our texture paste, but similar idea. And then I've gone on this one and you can see different shades of blues, greens and purples going throughout all of my texture paste piece. It's a really easy effect to do, different results each time, but really fun to work with. This is one of the ribbons I've dyed. This actually started off white, so as I said, you'd see some on here of the ribbons I'd created picking up my mess. I've also got another butterfly die cut and the swirls coming out from underneath there that have been done in the same way. Another thing just to quickly touch on with you before I let you go is, as I said, I'll show you earlier how we could use these as a wash. You can of course use them as a more delicate paint as well. So if you do wish to be painting in flowers, on top of that maybe a stamped image or a peel off, something along them lines. Another way you can use these is pop them out into a palette. So we'll just take a little bit of that, and then this time I'm going to use a water brush with it, but you can of course use an ordinary paintbrush if you wish to. And I'm just going to mix in a little bit of water on the side here, and at that point we've then become a perfectly workable paint, which again is a really good use of your pennies, because instead of having to buy a Pixie powder and a paint, this product can do one thing all in one product. Of course, as I show you, you can colour ribbons with them as well. It's just, options are endless, to be honest. There is a lot you can be doing with this one thing. I hope this has inspired you to get playing with Pixie powders, and I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you're worried that some of the techniques I've shown you you're going to forget, don't worry, you can watch our video on our website, on our YouTube channel, or in store at one of our information booths. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask us. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon with another product. Bye for now.